There comes a moment in life when the balance between parents and children quietly shifts. You spent years raising them, protecting them, giving them everything you had. But now, sometimes it feels like they don't see you the same way anymore. Maybe they ignore your advice. Maybe they talk down to you. Maybe they act like your feelings are less important. And that can break a person from the inside, even if they don't say a word. But listen to me carefully. You have not lost your value. Your wisdom, your experience, your love, these things still matter. You just need to learn how to stand in your dignity again, calmly, without anger, without arguments, and without begging for anyone's approval. In this video, we are going to talk about how to regain respect from your children in a healthy, peaceful way, where you don't fight for respect, you inspire it. Before we begin, I want to know something. Which state are you watching from? Type your state in the comments. I want to know where you are in this journey. 1. Stop chasing their approval. One of the main reasons many parents begin to lose respect from their children is because, without realizing it, they start trying too hard to please them. Maybe it happened slowly over the years. Maybe you just wanted to avoid disagreements. Maybe you didn't want to be a burden. So you started saying yes when you really wanted to say no. You adjusted your plans to fit theirs. You stayed quiet to keep the peace. You tried to do everything right, hoping they would appreciate you more. But here is the difficult truth. The more you chase someone's approval, the more invisible you become to them. When you put your own needs, opinions, and comfort aside again and again, your children learn something. Not intentionally, but silently. They learn that your feelings come second. And once that becomes the pattern, they start taking you for granted. Not because they are bad people, but because you never showed them where the line was. Respect begins with self-respect. It begins when you remind yourself that your opinions matter, your comfort matters, your time matters. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to argue. You simply need to stop giving more than you can and stop staying silent when something hurts you. This might feel uncomfortable at first. You may worry they'll get upset, but that's okay. Discomfort is temporary. Respect is long-lasting. Start small. If you don't agree, say so calmly. If you don't want to do something, say, "No, not this time." If someone speaks sharply to you, say, "I don't like that tone." Not with anger, just with self-respect. The moment you stop proving your worth, they start noticing it again. 2. Don't argue. Lead with composure. There will be moments when your children speak to you in a sharp tone, interrupt you, or dismiss what you are saying. And the natural reaction inside you might be to defend yourself, to explain, to remind them who raised them. But arguing for respect never brings respect. It only turns the conversation into a battle of who is right and who is in control. When someone argues, both sides stop listening. Respect is not earned through raising your voice. It is earned by the way you carry yourself. I want you to imagine this for a moment. If someone speaks to you disrespectfully and you respond with calm, steady silence, who looks stronger in that moment? The one who lost control or the one who stayed centered? Your children are not just hearing your words, they are watching your presence. There was a time when your voice guided them without effort, not because you demanded obedience, but because your presence held weight. You can return to that same presence. You don't need to win the discussion. You just need to stop engaging in the fight. Next time they interrupt, speak over you, or dismiss your thoughts, try something simple. Pause. take a breath, and say, gently but firmly, "I'll continue when we're speaking respectfully." No anger, no emotional reaction, just dignity. When you stay calm, you show that their behavior does not control your emotions. And slowly, they begin to adjust. They begin to see you again, not as someone trying to prove themselves, but as someone who already knows their worth. 3. Withdraw emotional dependence. One of the quiet reasons respect fades in a parent-child relationship is when the parent begins to rely on the child for emotional comfort and validation. You love them, of course you do, but love can slowly turn into dependence without us noticing. Maybe you wait for their calls. Maybe their visit becomes the highlight of your entire week. Maybe you feel hurt when they don't check in, and you try to remind them gently, or repeatedly. But when someone feels that your happiness depends on them, it doesn't draw them closer, it pushes them away. Not because they don't care, but because it feels like pressure, a responsibility they never asked to carry. Respect grows when both people in a relationship stand on their own feet. I once knew a mother who called her children every day, waiting for that connection, that warmth, that feeling of being valued. But over time, her children began to respond with shorter conversations, excuses, and distance. Not because they didn't love her, but because every call carried a silent weight. Make me feel needed. Make me feel important. Fill the empty space in my life. When she stopped waiting for their attention and started living for herself again, things changed. Slowly, her children reached out more. They wanted to know how she was. They became curious again. This is the shift. Do things that are just for you. Join a senior group, a class, a small social club. Go for a morning walk at the same time every day and greet the same people. Read what interests you. Take up a hobby you left behind years ago. Show them you were a person with a full life, not someone waiting in a quiet room for the phone to ring. When you stop depending on your children for emotional fulfillment, your presence becomes lighter, warmer, and more appreciated. 4. Set boundaries and enforce them. There is something important many parents forget as they get older. Your relationship with your children is not just built on love, it is also built on boundaries. And when boundaries fade, respect fades with them. Sometimes we stay silent because we don't want to upset anyone. We think, it's okay, I'll let it pass, it's not worth the conflict. But every time you stay silent when you are hurt, your children learn something, even if they don't mean to. They learn that they can speak to you that way, or treat you that way, and there will be no consequence. And once a behavior becomes normal, it becomes routine. Setting boundaries does not mean fighting. It does not mean arguing. It does not mean cutting anyone off. It simply means saying, calmly and clearly, "This is how I expect to be treated." For example, if they raise their voice, you say, "I will continue this conversation when we're speaking respectfully." If they interrupt or dismiss you, you say, "I'm not finished speaking. Please let me complete my thought." If they ignore your feelings, say, "My feelings matter in this conversation too." And here is the key part. You must follow through. If they continue, you politely walk away, end the call, or change the topic. You are not doing this to teach them a lesson. You are doing this to protect your peace. Over time, they will notice that you are no longer available to be spoken to carelessly. They will begin to adjust. They will begin to listen. They will feel the difference in your presence. Because boundaries do not push people away. Boundaries show people how to love you correctly. 5. Stop giving when there is no appreciation. As parents, we are used to giving. We gave when they were small, we gave when they struggled, we gave when they needed support, and many of us are still giving our time, our help, our money, our emotional energy. And giving is not wrong. Giving is love. But giving that is not appreciated turns into something else. It turns into expectation. When someone receives again and again without acknowledging the effort behind it, they stop seeing it as kindness. They start seeing it as normal. And once something becomes normal, it is no longer respected. Many parents say, "But I don't give for thanks. I give because I care." That is true. But the problem is not in giving. The problem is in giving when your heart is being ignored. If your child only calls when they need something, if they speak to you with impatience but expect your support, if they rarely show gratitude yet take your sacrifices as automatic, then it is time to pause. Not punish, just pause. Begin giving only when you feel respected in the conversation. You want to give, not because you feel obligated. Your effort is seen, not demanded. If they ask for help and you are tired, say, "I need to rest today." If they expect money but speak with impatience, say, "Let's discuss this later when we are both calm and respectful." If they only show up when they need something, allow space. Let silence teach what words cannot. You're not pulling love away. You are reminding them that your love is a gift, not a resource they are entitled to. And when something becomes a gift again, it becomes appreciated again. This small shift, stopping the constant giving, often brings back something very powerful: their awareness of your effort, and with that, their respect. 6. Build a life outside of them. One of the strongest ways to regain respect from your children is to show them that your happiness does not depend on them. When children feel like they are the only source of your emotional support, they may start to feel pressure or even irritation. But when they see that you have your own routine, your own joy, your own people, something changes inside them. They begin to look at you differently, not as someone waiting for them, but as someone who is whole. This doesn't mean you stop loving them. It simply means you also love your own life. Start small. You don't need something big or dramatic. Maybe you join a local senior group, a walking club, a church gathering, a library book circle, or even just start spending time with a friend over tea. Maybe you bring back an old hobby: gardening, singing, cooking something new, sewing, painting, or simply sitting in the sun with a good book. Maybe you start taking short trips, visiting parks, or exploring small markets in your town. These are not distractions. These are reminders to yourself that your life still has space, joy, and meaning. When your children see that you are not waiting by the phone, not sitting at home feeling forgotten, not measuring your day by when they call, they begin to admire you again. They start to ask more questions. They become curious about your experiences. They begin to realize that you are a person with a full heart, not an empty one waiting to be filled. And this shift matters, because people, even your own children, respect those who stand on their own feet, who live with purpose, who continue to grow even in later years. Respect is not something we can force or demand. It grows from the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak, and the way we honor our own dignity. If your children have started treating you with less care or less consideration, don't think you have failed as a parent. You raised them with love, and that love still matters. But now, the relationship needs a different kind of strength, a strength that comes from within. When you stop chasing approval, they learn to value your voice again. When you stop arguing and remain calm, they feel your wisdom. When you stop depending on them emotionally, they return naturally. When you set boundaries, they learn how to treat you. When you stop giving without appreciation, your love becomes meaningful again. And when you build a life outside of them, they admire you instead of overlooking you. These changes do not happen overnight, but even small shifts in the way you hold yourself can begin to change everything. Your life is not behind you. Your life is still yours, and you deserve to be seen, heard, valued, and respected today and every day forward.